Just a quick one before we dive in. I've just opened up 2 brand new ways to work with me. If you're an established beauty professional who's ready to increase your revenue, either in your clinic or by moving into the online mentoring and educational space, you can join me for a 2-month container where we build and validate your first online offer or your next big move. Or if you're ready to go all in, there is a 7-month private mentorship where we build, launch and scale your new revenue stream together. If you're not sure which one's right for you, I'm offering a handful of free business clarity calls, quick and powerful to map out your fastest path and to see which container fits best. Just DM me the word revenue on Instagram or check the link in the show notes and email me. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to the Beauty Build podcast with me, Zara King. As a coach for beauty pros, it is my mission to help you earn more, work less, and create an unstoppable mindset. This is the show where we explore all of that. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your beauty business, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and join us on the journey. And for more, get yourself inside my private community, The Beauty Build on Facebook. Hello, you gorgeous human you, and welcome back to another episode. I have had the absolute pleasure of interviewing Becci Hollis, the founder of Blossom Academy and Muse. Honestly, this conversation is so inspiring. Everything that she has done, from going from a nail tech through to education, online education, and now having a product-based business, is just so inspiring for any of you out there that are in this beauty industry, no matter what services you offer, whether or not you want to go into education or even online mentoring or product. This is just so inspiring, and I asked her some of those burning questions that I know you will have, so I know that you're going to love this episode. If you do, please take a screenshot and pop it on your stories and tag us. But let's get into the episode. So, Becci, can you please let us know what you've been up to? Because for everybody that doesn't know, you've been on the podcast before. You were with us back in December in 2023. If anyone listening wants to listen to that, it was season 1, episode 23. At that point, you were doing clients, so you were still doing nails in salon. You were busy in your academy back then as well. And I know that Muse has now come along since then, your brand. So can you just give us an update, please, and let us know what has changed for you since then?
Yeah, absolutely. God, just going through that, I'm thinking so much has changed, and it's less than 2 years ago. So scary. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey since then. So basically, I've completely stopped doing clients now. So I don't do any, well, I do still do, you can never get rid of your mum, can you? So I still do like my mum's nails, my mother-in-law's. But yeah, apart from that, the only nails I do are content. So yeah, stop doing clients. We've just celebrated a year of Muse, which is my product brand. So it's been the most amazing first year. Like, couldn't have asked for anything better. We've just moved into our brand new unit, so we've got so much more space because it was currently in the back of my salon before that.
Right.
So yeah, we very quickly outgrew that. We've got a team of educators across the country. We've got a team that obviously work within Muse, and yeah, every month just keeps getting better. So it's been such a incredible journey.
Amazing. You've done so well. Honestly, congratulations. Before we get right into it, I just want to say congratulations because you have smashed it. And I remember when I interviewed you last time, I remember saying to you, like, you're so young. How old were you? I think you were like 27. How old are you now?
I will be nearly 29. So yeah, I was probably 27, yeah, when we spoke.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember thinking, you have just absolutely smashed it. And it's such an inspiring story for people. So, first and foremost,
Mm,
congratulations.
thank you.
Secondly, what we were speaking about last time was the transition for you from like seeing clients a lot and full time and then moving into education. So, we spoke a lot about what online education does for you with time management. We spoke about reducing burnout for people in this industry. So this time, I really want to know what you've learned while transitioning from all of that and going into now physical product development, because I can imagine that's completely different. And I just want to know, like, what inspired you to go down that route? Where do you see it going in the future?
Yeah, so I honestly always dreamed of having my own product line, but I never actually thought it would happen because, like you say, it's so different to like a service-based business.
Mm,
The reason that I started Muse was because, of course, I'm teaching courses all the time. My students were kind of bringing various, brands, equipment, tools, and I wanted to basically have an affordable yet professional range for them. And I
mm,
can obviously have complete creative control over it. I can do all of the product development if there's anything that they're feeding back on or if there's gaps in the market. So, yeah, it just kind of naturally seemed like the next step. But yeah, I mean, I've learned so much in terms of having a product-based brand. I think the biggest learning is cash flow. Like cash flow is everything when you have product because if you sell out of everything, but then you've spent all the money and you can't buy the products again, like that's it. That's the end of the business. So you have to be so careful in terms of reinvesting and where you're reinvesting. So, I go to the team and I'm like, right, I want to do this and then do this and do this. And they're like, Becky, one thing at a time. Like we can't bring out a new product all the time because of course there's, minimum order quantities. It costs a lot to bring out one new bit. So
yeah.
we've had to be really kind of strategic in that way. And that's not something I've ever come across when doing my service-based businesses. So yeah, you have to think about things like postage, storage, like the customer services challenges. So it's just been such a interesting journey, I would say. And like I say, I didn't really ever kind of plan it. I just took the leap and I've got business partners who helped me do it as well. And together we've kind of figured it out along the way. But yeah, it's been incredible. So very much worth the leap, but still learning every day. But we're also looking at new markets as well. So we're about to expand into the US, which is very exciting. So I haven't really spoken about it much, bit of an exclusive. But yeah, so we are expanding over there, literally imminently. So very exciting.
Oh my goodness, congratulations. I'm so excited for you. So please tell me, like, bring it back a little bit. What made you make that decision? Please just like unpack it for us because all I can think of is, when you've got a big decision to make in your business, it might be anything, and you think, do I or don't I? Like, it's the risk, isn't it? There's always risk involved in business. And I think the most successful people are the people that are willing to take bigger risks. So tell me how it felt and what made you make this decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all aligned, if that makes sense. Like I'd kind of started talking about it, started thinking about it. I knew my business partners previously from other projects we'd worked on, and I guess, I had the kind of the knowledge and the know-how about it, but I didn't have a clue how to even go about, sourcing things, manufacturing things. Like that was not in my kind of zone of genius, I guess. So yeah, I think you're never going to feel fully ready, are you? Like, it is never that perfect time. But I got to the point where I was like, I am literally being asked by my students for these things, and I'm not able to kind of provide it or like either, be able to promote it from somewhere else because it was just like, do you know what? It's a really funny story because I don't know why, but I had two spare tickets to go and see Stephen Bartlett in Manchester. And yeah, I was like, right, who shall I invite? And I thought, right, I want someone that's kind of into business like me. Were you there as well?
No, but you could have invited me, is
Oh,
what I'm
sorry, I would.
saying.
Sorry,
Pointing at myself here, guys.
I would have definitely. But I thought, well, I can share a car with these two. So, so yeah, basically, we went to Stephen Bartlett for the night, watched him, and obviously he was incredible. He's brilliant with business,
Mm.
just very inspirational. And I think I said to them, I would just love to have a product brand. Like, this is what I could do. My students have been asking for it. And I'd kind of thought it all out in my head already. And they were like, well, you can. Like, we'll invest, we'll do it. And I was like, oh, right, okay, we're doing this. So that was actually the pivotal moment where we were like, okay, we're actually going to do this. And I think by the next week, we'd got the limited company and it was all go. So it was very much like I say, it just aligned and yeah, it just kind of went from there. But it wasn't just like I just randomly decided it. I'd been thinking about it and planning it and almost dreaming about it for a long time. And I guess then everything just seemed to line up. And yeah, it's gone amazingly.
I love that. Thank you so much for giving us that detail because I know that I'm putting you on the spot here. And I really appreciate it. It's just so inspiring, like I say, for the listeners, because you really can do anything you put your mind to. You really can. And
going from service to education to product, I just think in the short space of time that you've done it as well is fantastic. Now, I know from interviewing you before, you have a marketing background, and it really kind of I love to see your content anyway, regardless of what you do, Muse or the education side or even your nail side. I always love seeing your content and your gorgeous face pops up. But what I have noticed about the business is that you are using organic content, like your reels, and then you're using some paid ads as well. And I don't do ads for my business, just to put it out there. I did use a couple when I ran my beauty business, but it was probably like 2%. It was like nothing. So I get asked about it quite a lot, and I thought, who better to ask? Because you seem to have some success with them at the moment. They keep running, I keep seeing them. So, what is your approach for balancing the organic stuff that you put out and then obviously the paid ads that you're putting out?
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for both. And I'm no paid ads expert. I will openly admit that. My business partner is really good in terms of the strategy behind that. So I kind of create the content and he actually puts the ads together because it is a minefield out there. And they change all the time as well. So I
Mm,
definitely think investing in somebody who knows what they're doing is definitely going to pay off because if you're just throwing money at these things and not actually knowing how to use them, it can be quite difficult. So, yeah, I definitely say there's room for both. You should never rely on one over the other. You've got to have them kind of going alongside each other because if I just stopped posting organically and only did ads, I don't think they'd perform as well either.
mhm,
So, having that strong organic strategy is so important for sort of nurturing that audience and building that community that you need. But paid is great for getting the fresh eyes on your content and people on your profile. So, you need to constantly be kind of refreshing that audience to make sure that then you can keep nurturing them and building your community. So, that's what I mean. They work very hand in hand. So, I've had great results from both, but I think the one thing about paid that organic can't quite do as well is that really accurate targeting. And you can obviously track a lot of the conversions, which you can't on organic. I was going to tell you about an example because I had a quote recently that went kind of viral. It's had like 600,000 impressions or something like that. It's been crazy. I've had probably over 2,000 followers from it, which is
mm,
great. That sounds amazing. However, because it was more of a general business quote, I've not got new eyes on that actually are probably ever going to buy from me,
mm.
which is fine. Like it's great to still expand your community, but actually, the thought of going viral sounds a lot more impressive than I think it actually makes on your business. Do you know
I'm
what
so glad you've said that.
I
Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that because it's it's definitely evident that when somebody goes viral, even if you click on the explore page and you see something that has got a million likes on it, but
mean?
you scroll to their page and they've still got sometimes it doesn't even convert into that amount of followers. Like you said, you got 2,000. Sometimes it might not even convert into followers. It might be thousands and millions of likes, but not even follows, because sometimes that happens. And other times, like you said, even if it does convert into followers, it doesn't mean it converts to buyers. I've had that experience with other people in my world as well. And I just think it's such a good, important message to remind people of. So thank you so much. What I think as well about your content is and I love your brand positioning and everything. And our listeners are going to be so curious as to how you became so comfortable with being the face of the brand, because not only do you show up in reels and talk to the camera when you are doing organic content, you're the face of these ads and I love it. So how did you get into like that comfortable space of posting regularly and showing up as the face?
Yeah, honestly, it's if you told me a few years ago that I'd be doing things like that, I would have not believed you because I hated any videos of myself. I mean, I don't love them, but do you know what I mean? I just put them out there now. But it's just I think it's feeling the fear and doing it anyway
Yeah.
because I honestly just exposed myself to it constantly that then now it doesn't faze me at all. And I remember I actually worked with a business coach before I was feeling comfortable, and she was the one that kind of challenged me and pushed me and just got me to do that first one. And the first one's always the worst, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now I'll go live, I'll just randomly do something. I mean, I used to lose sleep the night before courses, even just the thought of speaking in front of people, let alone videoing myself. So it definitely I wasn't born with it. Do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
just doing it again and again and again and just desensitizing myself to it. And I think as you get older, you stop caring so much about what people think, don't you? Like
Mm,
I want everybody to like me. Of course I do, but I understand now that not everyone is going to. And actually, if someone from school thinks that I'm cringe or that I'm, doing something weird, I don't actually care because it doesn't have any impact on me and who I have around me. So, I think you just get to that point, don't you? Which is a very nice place to get to. And I honestly think once you see the results from doing it, that's
mm,
the evidence you need to keep on doing it because the difference that it's made in my business, it literally skyrocketed my business because all of a sudden, people were trusting me, liking me, knowing who it was behind the brand. And that I don't think obviously anyone else can do for your business, can they?
I agree. Yeah, you're right. I think it's that connection, isn't it? And people wanting to trust and know and love you and like fall in love with something else other than just the name of the brand or just the product itself or whatever. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And it just goes to show as well to people listening, like you're just a normal person who put yourself out there and there's like a running theme that I notice when I interview people that are super successful like yourself. It's you've got to put yourself out there, and it's all good and well me telling people that, but when I actually get to interview people like you, and then you reiterate what I say, it just really goes to show it's so true. You've just got to put yourself out there. You've got to keep going, even when it feels hard, and then when it feels good and you get some result, you've got to bank that, haven't you? Like you said, and then let that be the fuel to keep you going. I really love it. So if somebody wanted to do what you've done and move into a different sort of phase of their business, i.e., they're going to have to market something different now, like you've done. It might be that they go into online education like you did at first, or maybe they do want to go into product, or maybe they do want to go into retail more on their content, and maybe they're selling something in salon first. It doesn't have to be that they've brought out a brand new tool for the industry. But what would your sort of marketing methods be, other than those bits like the paid ads and things, when you are growing two or more different parts of a business? Because how do you separate them, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. And this was something that I kind of struggled with when I first started because, of course, my current audience were people that were coming to me for nails. They
Mm,
weren't interested, maybe one or two might have been interested in doing the training, but actually, as a whole, they weren't interested in my training side of things and the content that I was doing. So I think the first thing that I would do is sit down and think, right, who am I talking to here? Who is that customer profile that I want to target? Because then you can start to create your content that's going to speak directly to them. So
mm,
you need to be so clear on that in order to then attract them. So that's what I would do to start with. And then I guess because my training and product brand kind of intertwine, it's good because then kind of as you're talking about one, it feeds into the other. So it's much harder to have two completely separate things, isn't it? So I'd always
mm,
recommend that people have something that either complements what they're doing already. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just growing that community and making sure that people know exactly what you do and what you can offer them. And really thinking about how you can come from a place of serving them rather than selling to them, because then that sell becomes so natural, doesn't it? So
mm.
yeah, just kind of really making sure that you are completely tailoring that new content now and you're so clear on what it is that you are offering, I think is key when it comes to that.
I know that when I listen to these things as well, myself, when I listen back, it's nice to have like a sum up as well of what you say. So in my eyes, at first you were working like business to consumer, and then it changed into business to business. And I think that's, yeah, the differentiator. And of course, once you are serving those particular business owners, if you then add on, like you have done with Muse, it really does work. And I really think that's a great piece of advice for anyone listening to really make note of that it's like that switch in who you're serving. And like you say, and I take it when you went from like nail, or maybe you didn't, but when you went from doing the clients and nails, did you create a new Instagram account or Facebook account or, platforms for the academy when you started moving into business to business?
No, I did actually just change. And I found that actually a lot of my clients who have been with me for years and years, they love watching the journey now. And they're there. They're never going to come and do a course or, buy a Muse product, but actually they love just being there and supporting. So it was
Mm.
really nice. I mean, if it had been like a big page and there was a lot of followers on it, I maybe would have done it separately. But I think, yeah, I got it in the time where it was probably had about 1,000 followers on it, maybe a little bit more. And yeah, they were quite happy to kind of come along for the journey. But I guess at first it was kind of hard because I'd be putting that content out there and I wouldn't really get much back because, of course, it's not relatable to them. They're not interested in that. So it took a while to kind of build that audience to be a little bit more tailored to what community I wanted to build. But yeah,
Mm.
I mean, it worked for me. I'm not saying it can for every business, but yeah, I think it was an all right starting point.
Yeah, it's good to know. And I did the same actually. I didn't create anything new. The only thing I've created new now is the Beauty Build podcast page, which I'm is a work in progress. I need to start actually using it more. But it was just to keep things separate for the podcast. But it's really good to hear that, and it'll be good for the listeners as well, because some people will want to just go, right, it's a fresh slate, let's do something new. And other people might want to keep their accounts. And I think it's so good to hear that you can do both, really, can't you? Um, I can imagine that with all of this growth in the last couple of years, you need to have a very strong team to have this diversification going on. So, have you built a team? I know you spoke about your business partners. So, what kind of team have you got around the new part of the business? And how do you manage as well that extra leadership role on top of everything else? Because hiring really scares people.
Mhm. Yeah, so there's three of us directors. So obviously we've got us, and then we've also got two full-time team members and one part-time. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I mean, our team is incredible. Like I've definitely learned that you are nothing without the team and the people around you because when we kind of first started, we were literally packing the orders ourselves. We were doing everything. And you quickly come to a point where you can't grow the business anymore because you're stuck doing the day to day, aren't you? So
Mm,
yeah, now we've got kind of two girls who are in like sales, customer service, and they honestly care about Muse just as much as we do. And I can see them being with us for the foreseeable because they just want us to succeed as much as, we would as directors. So yeah, we've been super lucky. Um, I wouldn't say that hiring is something that is straightforward at all. There is so much to consider. There is so much cost involved. I've
mhm.
only ever really worked with people freelance, and of course, you're not paying things like pensions and PAYE and everything like that. So it's a huge thing to kind of take on because it's a responsibility, isn't it? You're paying someone's salary.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I don't think it goes right first time. We've had some challenges along the way, and it's just been constant learning really and adapting. But in terms of being that leadership role, I will admit, I do still struggle sometimes, like looking at myself as the business owner and the manager, because that is something I struggle with. But it's definitely something I need to work on because I want to be everyone's friend. I'm very kind of I see myself on, the same level as everybody. I don't ever see it as a kind of hierarchy or anything. But in certain circumstances, I guess there does have to be that kind of boundary, doesn't there?
Yeah.
But it's a hard one to do because, like I say, even in my salon, I'm like, I don't see me being the salon owner. I'm just like, oh no, me and all the girls work there. So yeah, it's definitely all learning and just kind of adapting and yeah, just carrying on and seeing how it goes.
Oh, good. Honestly, how many girls have you got in the salon now as well?
So we've got 12, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, but they all
Salon.
do different days and times, so they're not all in at the same time. It's not
Right.
quite that big.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
No,
Oh
it's
my
good.
gosh. It is amazing. And everyone listening is just going to be thinking, oh my God, how? And I just think, you're just an incredible inspiration. I've said it about 3 or 4 times now. It really does. It lights me up to see that you're someone that's just gone for the goal and you just keep going for the goal. So it moves me on nicely. If someone does want to follow in your footsteps and take this path, starting a beauty business, scaling it into education, product, what would be your top three pieces of advice on how to decide when to make these big decisions?
Yeah, so as I said before, you're never going to get to a point where you just go, oh, this is the perfect time. It's like when people say about having children, isn't it? There's never like a perfect moment where you go, yep, this is it. So yeah, I think you you're not going to feel ready, but you do have to make sure that you've got some sort of buffer. So
Mm,
this is what I would say to people who are, if you've got a part-time job and then you're planning on going full-time with your beauty business, I say this to my students, you've got to make sure that you're okay with maybe earning less for a couple of months before it starts to kick off because you're losing that stability of that wage because you're gaining that time to be able to grow your business. But you've got to be aware that, of course, if you're dropping one thing, the money goes on that side and you might not have the money to match it for a couple of months or so. So
mm,
yeah, I think always making sure that you have got that buffer. Um, Always doing your kind of research as well. And as I say, like I was very fortunate in that I had my community and I always listened to people and the feedback from my students. And I actually had people asking for these things. So really listen to what people around you are saying or what their problems are, because if you can solve that, then you've got a business idea there already, haven't you? So really listening. And then, yeah, I think I would just say that, it's not easy at all, but it will be worth it. So
mm.
it's a massive decision. And yeah, even if you don't feel ready and it doesn't feel easy, that's business. And that's when you're building something great. Because if it were easy, everyone would be doing it, wouldn't they? So yeah.
I love that. If it were easy, everyone would do it, wouldn't they? Such a good quote, honestly. And I think, how did you, one more question actually within that, that I think would probably be on the tip of people's tongues is when you, when did you like kind of decide I need more, like more people within this and take on a business partner or, how did that go about in your business?
So I think, and this is a bit of advice I would give to anyone, is stop trying to do everything on your own because for so long, and I'm still quite bad at this, I was so kind of reluctant to delegate. And
Mm.
it's so funny because I've worked with a coach recently, and this is the advice she gave me, which I think is just actually quite funny. It is actually really big-headed and egotistical to think that no one can do as good of a job as you can. She said it, and I was like, that is so true. Like,
Mm.
we always say, like, oh, I wish I could clone myself. Like, that's so egotistical. Like, someone is going to do just as good a job as you. But I'd never thought of it like that before. Yeah. So, as I say, I mean, I always had the dream, but I didn't necessarily have the know-how or the connections or even the contacts to be able to do what I wanted to do. I had no idea how to even, contact a factory or speak to a manufacturer. So, I think it's about knowing and identifying what your zone of genius is yourself and where your strong points are, and then finding other people that can complement that. So it works really well as business partners because my one business partner is really like finance driven, very good at networking contacts, everything like that. My other one is really good at kind of design work, those little details. So that really suits my skill set because I can sometimes be missing those things. So finding actually a circle around you that can kind of fill in those gaps is the perfect way to do it. So yeah, you can't possibly be a genius in every single area, can you?
No, you can't. And I love that as well, because so many people will be better at other things than you. I think, yeah, and people struggle, don't they? Like, I don't know about you, but people do struggle to find their zones of genius. They do really struggle and think, I'm just good at everything. Or I can just do this and then they just don't know where to look. So thank you so much. Um, was there a time when you thought, oh my goodness, this is just not going to work, or this is like, what the hell have I done? Some people think, oh my God, what the hell have I done? And if so, how have you moved through those moments?
Yeah, so I think my biggest fear is probably that it's all going to end tomorrow. And I don't
Mm.
know if that's ever going to go away because it's that whole new level, new devil thing. Like you
Yeah.
think, oh, when I get to that point, it's all going to be fine and breezy. But actually, you don't realize that there's challenges at every single level. So I don't know why, but I still have that thought every now and then. And I guess a lot of it is probably imposter syndrome, but also
Mm.
because it kind of feels too good to be true. So I feel like, someone's going to take it from me. And I'd be so sad if I didn't get to do this every day. So I think it's just that kind of gratitude of how much I love doing this, but also that, yeah, you just kind of feels too good to be true. So yeah, saying that, I think when it's your own business and you work for yourself, it's never stable, is it? You always have that worry that that could happen.
Mm.
But I think what I do when I am in my own head like that is I look back at everything that has come before and what has been achieved, and also look at the facts and evidence. You think, well, I can't be that bad if this many people have shopped from us or this many people have trained with me. So really looking at those evidence based, proof.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll always talk it through with someone as well. And they're often quite good at being able to zoom out when you can't, aren't they? So I think having
Mm.
those people that you can kind of just soundboard with is really helpful when you do feel like that. But yeah, I mean, there's always challenges, there's always worries. And like I say, I don't know if that will ever go away. And that's the whole journey of having your own business, isn't it?
It is, yeah, I totally agree. It is new level, new devil, and you seem to be doing absolutely brilliantly. And like you said, you've got through all of the other things. So looking back and thinking, actually, I've done this, I've done that, I've done it. I think you'll always get through, won't you? And you just made it work. So thank you so much for those golden pieces of information. I always like to finish my interviews on a really light note. You've been here before, you know this. So is there any stories that you can tell us in the last couple of years since we spoke? Anything that's like made you laugh or made you cringe, so that our listeners know that the beautiful Becci Hollis is obviously famous, but she's just a normal human being.
I'm not sure about famous, but yeah, there is one thing when I read this question, I thought that does still make me cringe to this day. So I was basically teaching a course, and what I'll do on my courses is I'll do a little demonstration. So normally I'll use like two of my students' models' nails to do. So I'll do two for them, and then they'll do the rest. Anyway, I was walking around later on in the course, and it was a full course. There was a lot going on. I couldn't remember where people had, like, whose model I'd used, whatever. Anyway, I said to this one girl, I said, "Oh my gosh, those two are amazing. Well done. I can't believe that's your first one." And she went, "Becky, they're the ones you demoed on. Like, that's your work." And I was like, "Oh my God, can the ground just swallow me up?" And the whole class heard me say it as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, "Great, I've just really, bigged myself up there and forgotten that I've done these nails."
I
But
love
I
it.
tell it on all the courses now, and everyone finds it funny. So I've just again desensitized myself to it. But I was like, "Yeah, I did want the ground to swallow me up."
Yeah, bless you. Oh, well, we know that you're good at what you do. So is there anything going on right now? Is there anything in the near future we need to know about? I know you've given us a little exclusive about branching out into the US. Anything else that you want to talk about before we finish up?
Yeah, so the US is exciting, but obviously, if we've got UK listeners, like you already have us here, I guess we're constantly doing new product development. What are we working on right now that I could give you a little sneak peek? The one that we have just launched is our hygiene range. So that's been something that's been in the work for a while. So yeah,
Mm.
that's a big one. We are working on like an e-pedicure range. So that's kind of in the works. Don't know when it will be coming. But yeah, I mean, I'm just constantly listening to what people are after. I've got a whole list of product development, which I'm like, and I don't know if you'll have known this from just following news, but I will literally test a product for like a good few months before we release it because I have to make sure it's perfect. So yeah, we're working on things like that. Working on things like prep powders and like a finishing lotion and things like that. So some little
Nice.
kind of, add-ons to services. So yeah, lots going on. But I have actually set up a discount code for any podcast listeners so they can get 10% off.
Oh,
So if you would like to get 10% off Muse, you can use the code BB Podcast. So that is the discount code. It'll be live for however long this podcast is live. So it'll
oh,
be
thank you so
forever.
much. Brilliant. Okay, that is amazing. And for everyone listening, that's news to me as well. So thank you so much. I will put all of that and the code and everything and all of your links into the description of the podcast, of course, along with your social media handles and everything. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to see you and to speak to you. And I even got to give you a cuddle at the Scratch Stars Awards. And I just honestly, everything you do inspires me so much. So thank you so much. And yeah, we can wrap it up there. And thank you everybody for listening. I will see you all on the next one. But yeah, Becci, thank you so, so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights that will help you in your beauty business and life. If you did, please take a screenshot and tag me in your stories. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials. The links are always in the descriptions. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more and more great content. Until next time, keep building that business.